good. Come on, just receive Brother Fred tonight.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. I approached Pastor about giving my testimony because there's a new phase in my life that I'm trying to obtain. I don't know if how many people know about Melchizedek. I know about Melchizedek. And Melchizedek and Jesus in particular, that to me is the next phase of my life. That's the next step. And it's ironic and it's great that I walk in here tonight and see all of this. This right here is amazing to me because that's exactly what it is. My life is still under construction. Every step that I take from this point on is under construction. And my journey has just begun, as opposed to what I'm going to tell you, thinking that, okay, well, that was done and this was done and I've gotten past all of that. My journey really has just begun. I want to start off by simply saying, I'm going to give you three characters, three stories out of the Bible that definitely relates to my life. I'm going to tell you about the thief on the cross. And I'm going to then say that my life mirrored Joseph. And then I'm going to tell you how it mirrored David before I get to Melchizedek and Jesus. So that's the storyline right there. I'm not gonna go all the way back to when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old is when I knew I had been chosen. Not called, but chosen. So I knew that, but I didn't understand it. And it would take me, I'm 61 years old now, and I'm still trying to understand it. So everything is still working its way in place. I'm gonna take you to 1990. I was 25, going 26 years old. I had been hooked on cocaine, crack. That's what was out there. That's what was out there. I had been hooked on it. Now, I'm running all over the place. I was so skinny they just called me One Pocket Willie, because I couldn't fit both cheeks in a pair of jeans. It was just one, just one. During that time, I had been homeless. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I'm scraping and scrounging, trying to get money, but not to eat, not to put a roof over my head, but to get that stuff. That's where I was. Well, one night, I'm out doing stuff I ain't got no business doing, broke in somebody's house, stole a few little items, caught myself creeping away. In the middle of the night, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. In the middle of the night, I get out in the middle of the street thinking I got stuff in my hand. I'm creeping along out in the middle of the street, and all of a sudden, I was frozen right in the middle of the street. Now, I'm really trying to get away, but I couldn't control myself. My hands were stretched out wide, and my head was lowered, and I was stuck that way. For me, it seemed like forever, because I'm trying to get away before the cops get there. But it was maybe 30 or 40 seconds, maybe a minute. I didn't understand then what that was. That's the thief on the cross. That's actually who we all represent in a lot of different ways. We know the story, but we don't know a whole lot about the thief on the cross. Only that he was a thief on the cross next to Jesus, and Jesus said, "You're coming with me." The reason why that story is so significant is he was a thief. He did do whatever it is that he did, and he was bearing his cross right then and there. And because he believed, he was able to go with Jesus. 3 weeks, maybe a month later, I get arrested. I'm in the county jail for about 6 months. I go before the judge, and she sentenced me to 25 years without parole. To be honest with you, I was 26 years old, and when she said 25 with no parole, I just knew life was over. It's over. It's done. And I can remember saying it. Oh, man, my whole life is over. They send me to one of the harshest prisons in the state of Maryland. When I get there, now I didn't realize, it still hadn't hit me, other than the fact that this was a super big number that she threw at me. But when I get to that prison, and the day that I got there, and the cell block that they would put me on, they were having a riot. Tear gas, blood, dogs. And I'm standing outside of the gate with a female guard, and she hands me a peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter. And I'm looking at her like, what you want me to do? Do you see that? Do you see that? I have no idea what I've done to myself. Because in my mind, I'm saying, oh, man, dude, what have you done? Well, I say this to say, I'm telling you that part of it because at that moment, I realized that I really had destroyed my life, and I really didn't know what I was in for. I wasn't the biggest fellow you ever want to run across. I just wasn't. I'm still basically not. And I wasn't the toughest person that you ever want to run across. But what I was a little bit mean and nasty, though. But I wasn't enough, in my eyes, to go face all what I'm about to see. And that was the first day. The first day. Now, there's a lot of things that took place over the next couple of years, because my whole thing was, I'm either going to have to toughen up or be something that I ain't trying to be. So my thing was, I took the tough road. And there was a guy who was jumping in prison. For people who don't know, there's really only two ways to go about this. Actually, there's a third, but I wouldn't know until God intervened. But there's two ways for the most part. You either get with a gang, and that's your form of protection. They're watching your back, and you're watching theirs. Or, well, you go that other route. And that other route is out of the question. And I didn't get with a gang. And the reason why is because I always felt like if I need 5 or 6 people to validate what I'm doing, they ain't got no business doing it. And if they need me to validate what they're doing, then they ain't got no business doing it. If it's a 300-pound dude that you over there messing with and he beats you down, you shouldn't have been messing with him. You should have left him alone. So that was always my line, my logic behind all of that. So I didn't get with gangs, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do that, but I did have to contend with them. 2 years in, the guy comes to me, he's trying to jump into the Jamaican posse, a gang. He chose me as a mark. That was the wrong thing to do, because at that point, I was already mad. I was mad at the world. I mean, I was mad at everybody about everything. And I was in no mood to be anybody's mark. So I did what I had to do. I did him in. He didn't die, but he did get flown out of there in a helicopter. I did him. Yeah. So I got 2 years on what they called a hammer. We called it El Salvador. There's all kinds of names for it. Basically, it's 23 hours in a cell by yourself and 1 hour out to take a shower and walk around this yard about the size of this room. And I had that 2 years of it. And for 2 years, though, but see, that was a really good thing. What that did was, it isolated me, and God got straight to me right then and there. I couldn't go nowhere. I certainly couldn't run. He got to me right then and there. I read, and I read. Every book that there was, I'm getting my hands on it, and I'm reading it. The Bible in particular. So a lot of people always ask me, how do you know so much? Well, I can't quote the Bible to you, and I can't give you every scripture, but I know an awful lot. And a lot of it came through experience, but I know an awful lot. So that's the reason why 2 years of studying by yourself will do that for you. Well, after the 2 years was over, God blessed me, truly blessed me. There was a program in the prison where you could go to college. The college people from the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, would come in there, and it was accredited. So I spent the next 3 years doing that. That's why I'm such a stickler on education, because I know two things. One, education will exalt you and elevate you. It will change the way you think about things. It will have you analyzing things as opposed to just jumping right in. But two, this is the most important. God changes people first with the renewing of their mind. With the renewing of their mind. That means I'm not going to go and think like I used to think. And that was his way of doing it. Because I studied and I aced everything, so much so that I was getting, now I'm in prison with 25 years. I'm getting offer letters from Stanford, Notre Dame, all these big name colleges, and I'm in prison. That's when I realized, yeah, this is good. So after all of that was done, I went to the prison ministry, into prison ministry, and I became they don't call him a pastor. I joined the AME church, and that's African Methodist Episcopal, and they call him a chairman. But in a sense, that makes me an administrative pastor. So I did that for 5 years, and I really didn't even, they just threw me into that. You know, guys, in that prison, I only made it not because I was the strongest guy, not because I was the most ruthless. I made it because I would teach people, Bloods, Crips, BGF, even white supremacist groups. They were all in my classes. They called me professor. That's what they called me. I'm teaching them how to read, how to do advanced math, how to do math. I'm teaching them the whole way. So nobody would mess with me. They wouldn't let them. They wouldn't let anybody mess with me. That's God's protecting me. He protected me right from this. That's him covering me, placing that hedge of protection around me. And it was there the entire time I was there. So much so that even the staff recognized it. I got elected as a tier rep. Now I'm telling you this because I still giggle about this. I get into a meeting with the warden, the assistant warden, the security chief, and 2 or 3 majors. We're in a meeting. The guys want me to go and ask them, can we go out to the yard 7 days a week? The administration is saying, no, only 3. Hence, they send Brother Fred up in there. So I get in there, and I'm talking to them, and they talking to me, and right away, they realize, well, this ain't your average guy. He's not like all the people that we've had to deal with that come before us. I wasn't the first one. I told him, I said, well, if we're asking for 7 and you're asking for 3, why don't you meet us halfway at 5? So the security chief said, 5 is not halfway. I said, 5 is the median of 7 and 3. And everybody in there did exactly what y'all just did. They just started laughing. And they were, yeah, he's right. I said, yes, I am. So, and I got it. And I got it for him. So from that point on, the administration, it was just like Joseph. Just like his life. I had favor with everybody. And I do mean everybody, even the Muslims. Even the Muslims. And that's a tough deal. Because if you're a Christian in there, they don't like you. They don't like you at all. But they came to me and asked me to do Black History Month for their group. The reason why, I'm AME, African Methodist Episcopal. So they felt comfortable with that. I got in there and I gave a sermon. And now, I'm not a preacher. I'm telling you, I'm not a preacher. I'm really not. But I am a good teacher. And that's what I did that night. And from that point on, I'll never forget it. The imam, the lead guy, He told his people, yeah, y'all don't mess with him. Y'all protect him, make sure he, just like that. This is not me. This is God. His hedge of protection around me the whole time I was in prison. This is what he did for me. But it gets better. Now, this is the stuff that I've given my testimony before, but I never include the stuff that I'm about to tell you as well as what I just told you. Usually I just tell them I've been in prison 17 years, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you what God did afterwards. And then I go into that. But this is different because I want y'all to know, I want everybody to know the power of God. I want you to know that no matter how far in the valley that you get, he can reach down there and get you, pick you up, set you where he wants you to be at, and have you shining before everybody around you. That's what he will do. Not that he can and he will do these things. So this is the reason why it's important for me to say the things that I'm about to say. The administration took a great deal of joy and pride in having me around. They really did. Y'all saw Sean saying redemption? Yeah. Well, it was that type of a deal. It was that type of a deal. I ran their industry. I ran their industry as an inmate. I ran it. They put me in originally, and I was on the floor they make furniture, making furniture like everybody else, but it wasn't long before I was in the office. Didn't know nothing about computers because I hadn't had a chance to train on it, but I learned. Taught myself, learned, and not only did business I had in college. Those were the classes that I was taking. And I just simply used that knowledge and transformed it there. My thinking was, someday I may get out. I need to practice what I need to do. So I use that as a practice field. And there were times, I'm gonna give you one instance in particular. My wife don't even know this. I'm gonna give you, Thompson University is a university in the state of Maryland. Their dean had a contract for $3 million for furniture. Who did he talk to? It was me. He didn't know I was an inmate because he was talking to me via the phone. But when he finally met me, he was like, wow, what, you're an inmate? Yeah. Yeah, you mean, if you can tell him otherwise, we good. But no, at this point, that's what I am. I got him to sign the contract, but the thing was this. He wasn't going to sign the contract. The day that came time to sign the contract, he wouldn't do it. We were on lockdown, and I was stuck in a cell. We were on lockdown for a week, and I was stuck in the cell. That was the week that he was going to sign the contract. He said, nope. I want him to be here. They came and got me in the middle of the night, drove me over 5 hours over to Thompson, so that the next morning I could have this man sign that contract. That's the favor that God will give you no matter what circumstance you're going through. You ever want to know how to walk through a storm and not get wet? Call on God. Right. Walk through the storm. Walk through the storm and never get wet. That's how you do it. Can't be done by you. It wasn't done by me. But it can be done by God and God alone. And he gets the glory for all of it. By the time everything was said and done, and I get to the end of this thing, I had already spent like 14, 15 years in. But it was 14 or 15 years at the time, but I was like, it just kind of flew by. Yeah, it just kind of flew by. I was buff though. Yeah, I was buff. I was buff. Yeah, I gotta say that. I was buff. I had a six-pack then. Now I only got a quarter keg. Yeah, but you know, But I get to the end, at the end of the line, I'm wondering, just like anybody else that's been in that long, what am I going to do when I get out? I mean, I've been in here all this time. What am I going to do? Well, God had a plan. A counselor, he was an African dude that nobody liked. But for whatever reason, he liked me. And he came to me and he said, and I'll never forget this. He said, Mr. Thompson, I got something that I know you'd be perfect for. Oh, wait, before I do that, this is probably the reason why he did it. This is great right here. And I didn't even know this. I get to that place, they call it's the minimum security. But I'm working for the state, and they put me in an area where they sell, the state brings their computers to this place, and they get wiped out or sold or before they're sold. Well, it was my job to wipe them out before they're sold. Well, I got to getting back there and got to tinkering and messing around, and I learned how to program. So, yeah, I taught myself how to program these things after I would wipe them out. So, the lieutenant governor of Maryland got wind of it. Some of you may know this man. His name is Michael Steele. Michael Steele, he was the RNC chairman for about 3 or 4 years. He was the lieutenant governor at the time. He comes over there, and he asked for me. And I spoke with him, and he said, can you make me, I think it was 6 of them, 6 computers for a friend of mine? And I said, sure. So I went, took me about a week, week and a half, made 6 computer sets for his friend. Y'all, I did not know this. His friend was Barbara Bush. His friend was Barbara Bush. The computers that I made went to the Barbara Bush Foundation. In Washington, D.C., they have like 4 or 5 big buildings. So I didn't know all that at the time. So finally, that's when the counselor came to me and said, hey, I got something that you would be great for. What they did was they sent me to school for 13 weeks out of the prison to school for electricity. Set me up with a company who gave me an internship after I finished the 13 weeks. So I was already making pretty decent money at the time. It was like $15 an hour, $14 an hour to start while I'm in prison. While I'm in prison. So I didn't have to worry about a job. When I got out, I had that job, and then that company sent me to school to get further education so that I could get what my license that I have to this very day. This is God. This is what he does for you. You can't despair on being into something, into tribulation, because it's going to be there. Tribulation is going to be there. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't gone nowhere in all this time. It ain't going to go nowhere. It's a matter of how you deal with the tribulation and who you're dealing with through the tribulation. That's what it all boils down to. That's the reason why I had to get up here. That's the thing that I'm trying to get everybody to understand. The thing, Pastor said it about 2 weeks ago, and it just blew me away because I know how true it is. What you go through is not for you. It is not for you. Yes, you the one that's got to go through it, but believe me when I tell you, there are other people looking at how they're looking at you. They watched you go through it, and they watched you on the other side. They saw what God will do on the other side. And that is nothing but that's the glory that he seeks. So what does that make each and every one of us? Ambassadors. Come on, man. When they look in these eyes, I want them to see Jesus. When they see me move, I want them to see. I want them to see Jesus. Not Frederic, because Frederic is still kind of flawed on the outside. I got some stuff that I got to deal with. But one of the things I have learned, and this is real, one of the things I've learned, when I got out, I got with this group called, these were the same guys that I was singing with. Now, I didn't even know I could sing, y'all. I didn't. I got with these guys, they were friends of mine, and they had a church group, And I'll never forget it. Tommy, my best buddy to this day, he comes up to me, Fred, you got to sing. Sing what? I'm retired. I'm retired, bro. I ain't singing nothing. So I get with the praise and worship team in the prison, and we were good. We were good. And so from that point on, everybody left the prison. Tommy got out first a year ahead of me. A year later, I'm out. And just about everybody that was there was out during that course of that year. So we all got together, and we formed a group called the Anointed Ex-Offenders. And what we did was, and this is nothing but God, what we did was we went back into the prisons to let these brothers know, you ain't got to be drug dealers, you ain't got to do this, and you ain't got to do that. All you got to do is believe and trust in God, and He gonna show you your path, and all you do is walk it. That's it. Your job is to walk it. That's your job. Not to try to make the path, not to clear the path. None of that. Your job is to walk it. I couldn't believe all the prisons that they allowed us. This is the state government of Maryland allowing us, because we're not supposed to be able to do that. After you get out of prison, you have to be off of parole. And I still had 9 years of parole after getting out. You have to be off parole for a year, year and a half, whatever it is. But no, you're an anointed ex-offender. Y'all come on in here. Come on in here. And the beauty about all of that was, it was more than just me giving them my testimony and singing. They helped me too. They really did. And the reason why was because they kept me grounded. I'll never forget, me and my wife, after being in Texas for about 6 or 7 years, went home. My grandmother had died. And we were in a Golden Corral. And there was a brother back there flipping. You know what I mean? He flipping. You know, he back there doing his thing. And he looked out and he saw me and said, I know you. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, I don't know where I know you from though, bro. I see that, you know, I still did some dirty deeds back then. I don't know where this guy. So he said, man, you are an anointed ex-offender, man, you changed my life. I got this job and everything else because you guys, I'm watching you guys do the things that I know need to be done, and I know it can be done. Those are the things that kept me on the straight and narrow, because I understood the position that I was in. I understood that I was an ambassador. I understood that people are looking at you even when you don't think that they are. And the thing is, you don't know who's looking at you. You never know who's looking at you and why. But they are. And they never stop. You always got eyes on you. So those 3 years when I first got out were great. Met my wife. Told her that God told me, you're my wife. And y'all, she had the nerve to say, well, he ain't tell me. That's exactly what her words were. He didn't tell me that. Well, he told me. And yeah. One of us is right. So, you know, and those were glory years for me. Truly, truly glory years, because I understood real ministry. And I understood, it was there. I had a zeal for it. I loved it. That was the best time of my life. Only reason why all of this ended was because we ended up moving to Texas. Her job had transferred her to Texas. And I'm never going to stand in anybody's way. And I figured, well, I'm an electrician. I should be able to find something. So we get here to Texas, 2010. We get here to Texas. And first of all, I had to ask the question, what the heck is in Texas? Because I didn't know. You know, I had no idea. Texas. She had already been here, but I ain't Texas. But we get here, and this is where a problem. Now, I told you. Now, y'all could see the connection between me and Joseph. You could see that. I also mentioned David. And this is where he comes into play. When we get to Texas, things changed because all of the things that were happening in Maryland were no longer happening here. These folks don't know me. I came here on parole and everything, on papers. And boy, do they let you know that. They let you know that. So, there was a whole different thing going on. And to be honest with you, I never knew that I had gotten depressed behind it. I really didn't. Really depressed. I never thought that I would miss what was happening. I always figured, well, I go over here and I'll start it over here then. That was my mindset. It didn't happen like that. I would go to different churches and they wouldn't have ministry in prison ministry, or really some of them didn't have no ministries at all, except to eat. Cooking ministries, a lot of those. A lot of cooking ministries, But don't get me wrong, I like to eat now. So that's just basically all they had. And so I'm not down on them, but that's where I lost a lot of stuff. I lost the responsibilities that I had before. I lost the accountability in the eyes of everybody else. People, even eyes I didn't even know were there. I lost all of that. And I felt like, well, I can do whatever I want. And I stepped out of the will of God. I stepped out of the will of God, and I began to do other stupid stuff. So much so that my wife is non-tolerant about that stupid stuff. So we got divorced for 5 years. It's a divorce, but she never left and I never left. We were divorced legally. And so I had gotten back into drugs, nothing major this time. Oh, that's the last thing I'm gonna tell y'all. And this is real. I started off smoking crack cocaine, but my favorite saying, especially when I was with the Anointed Ex-Offenders, was, I used to smoke the rock, but now I stand on the rock. Yeah? Because I never went back to it. Never went back to it. So I need to let y'all know that. So what I ended up doing was, I figured in my infinite wisdom, well, if all I do is smoke weed, it won't be so bad, because weed don't do nothing to me. Well, that's not true. Not true at all. It ruined my marriage. It took me in places I ain't had no business going, and it put me back out on the streets a couple of times. So I've been homeless quite a few times. I've been without food quite a few times. And that's because I stepped out of the will of God. No other reason. I could put 1,000 things on it, but the real reason is that I stepped out of the will of God. I say David because everybody knows the story of David. David, as a young man, had to fight Goliath. Big old nasty giant, right? My Goliath is myself. Yeah. My Goliath is my own self. There's nobody bigger or badder, if you ask me. I had to try to learn how to defeat myself. I'm analytical beyond belief. And you can't analyze God. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. The way he go about doing things ain't the way Fred gonna go about doing things. And so for me to try to defeat the greatest gift that he gave me, I have to try to defeat, which is my mind. I love the mind that God gave me. I do. I love the way I think. I love the way I move. I love the way he has wired me. And to try to defeat that is not easy. I am my biggest enemy. The devil can't even whoop Fred. Fred has to whoop Fred through the devil. Or the devil has to whoop me through me. And so I had to try to defeat Goliath. Jesus says, the word says, take up your cross and follow me. That's a serious thing. When he tells you to pick up the cross, he's telling you to bear the burdens of your sins, the things that you've done, and take that walk that he took to Calvary. You got to take that walk and crucify yourself. Thief on the cross. He was already on the cross being crucified. So my words of wisdom is simple. This is the journey that I've been on as of late. When I walked through those doors of the gate, I came in a blue uniform, Salvation Army. I had been in a rehab for 6 months. She put me there. Yeah, she did that. So it was the best thing that could happen because it gave me 6 months to clear my head. And I'll never forget the thing that I told them was, because they always ask you to stand up and cite what brought you there and what you expect to get. I told them what brought me here was the drugs that I was using. What I expect to get is I need to get back into the will of God. That was my purpose. And the whole time that I was there, that was what I was doing, getting back into the will of God. So when I walked through these doors, yeah, I sported that uniform, and I sported it proudly because I knew that I was getting exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to get close to God, get back into his will because I know what it feels like to be there. Taste and see. Taste and see. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And so life has been extremely well. Extremely well. Oh, I got to tell you about one little slip up though during that time that I was out there. I had to go to, what's that county? Collin County Detention Center. 10 weekends. This is how I knew I had changed. This is how I know. Judge sentenced me to 10 weekends. I asked her to give me the weekends instead of 30 days because I had 30 days. She gave me 30 days. So I asked her to make it weekends because I had just gotten a job working at Frito-Lay. And so she granted it to me, so I had 10 weekends split up over 6 months or so, whatever it was. When I walked into that pod, I broke out in tears, y'all. That's when I knew I had changed. Because if you would have said to me, I'm giving you 30 days or 10 weekends, 10 years ago, I'd have been looking at you laughing. Yeah, all right, whatever. I'll sleep that off. Whole life had changed. I had changed. My mindset had changed. Everything about me had changed. I certainly knew I didn't want that life. So that little thing, that little stint. But while I was there, I wasn't there for myself. I keep telling y'all that. The things you go through are not for you. When I was there, every weekend that I came in Friday night at 7 o'clock. I come in at 7 o'clock, and they let you out on Sunday morning at 1 in the morning. When I come in at 7 o'clock, there are 8, 9, 10 guys lined in a circle waiting for me so we can have class. Bible class. Yep. Every weekend I got there. And so that's what I realized. People, for whatever reason, they're drawn to me. I don't know what they see. Whatever it is they see in these eyes, I hope you continue to see it and then some. But they see it. And I saw the same thing when I was down at the Salvation Army. They just draw themselves to me. They just want to follow. And see, that puts to when much is given, much is required. Much is required. And I had to learn all the lessons that God had for me to learn in order to take the step that I'm willing to take right now. That's why I'm standing here, to take the next step. I also mentioned Melchizedek. Melchizedek is one of my favorites. Now, for those of you that don't know who Melchizedek is, he was the king of Salem, but what made him he's the same guy that Abraham went and a tenth, right? Well, that's not the interesting part as far as I'm concerned. The interesting part is he was not only the king of Salem, but he was also the high priest. At that time, at all times for that matter, there has never been one like that, been one and the same. It's always been separated. So and I'm going to tell you how I came to all of this. I asked the question, because I told you my mind just thinks. It's like it just analyzes. The word says that Jesus was baptized in the order of Melchizedek. And so I said, wait a minute. Jesus is the King of Kings. He's all the way up yonder. How could he be baptized in somebody else's order? I didn't understand it. So it took me actually, that was one of when I get on a tangent like that, y'all, yes, indeed, there's no rock I'm not going to I'm going to chase it down and find out. I'm going to satisfy that question that I asked. And it took me 5 years before I realized why Jesus was baptized in the order of Melchizedek. He's baptized in the order of Melchizedek because Jesus is the King of Kings, the King of Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem, as well as the high priest of the New Jerusalem. That's the reason why. So tonight, the reason why this is the beginning of my journey, not the end. I told y'all all the stuff that I had gone through, but that wasn't for me. This is for me. Yeah, this for me. This part right here is for me. And what I'm seeking is to see everything through spiritual eyes so that I too can be baptized in the order of Melchizedek. That's my desire. That's where I should be. That's my rightful place. So that's why I'm here. But I know that I got to work. I got to take steps. And this was the beginning of it. And that's the reason why I came to Pastor and said, Pastor, can I? You know, and it's important to me as my new life's journey begins. I'm 61 years old, so this is really a beginning of a new life. Yeah. You know, yes, this is the beginning of a new life, and it's a life that I so desire to have. So I just thank y'all for listening to me. I just thank y'all for being in my presence and being around me, because y'all are the ones that feed me. You know, you feed me every single day. And I'm blessed by being at the gate. I love the praise and worship team. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you that in a heartbeat, you know. And so this has been a tremendous blessing to me, and now it's time for me to be a tremendous blessing to the rest of the world.